Hey guys, so today I want to talk about all of the alternate universes that we have to see in Cursed Child. I already apologize for the noise in the hallway. We're just gonna go with it. But we got two alternate universes in Cursed Child. I think it was two, at least, unless I'm forgetting something. And I thought that was interesting, not what I was expecting to get from Cursed Child. And I find it interesting because Shadowhunters, obviously I love Shadowhunters and I'm involved in the fandom and everything, and in season 1 they had an alternate universe episode where Clary went to an alternate universe, and that proved really popular. I think it was a lot of people's favorite episode of the season, and there's fan fiction that takes place in the alternate universe and everything. So it was kind of reflecting on Cursed Child and the alternate universes we got in Cursed Child. And it's funny to me because it just reminded me of Shadowhunters because that's pretty recent. And before those both happened, I pretty much associated alternate universes with fan fiction sort of things, and so all of these tropes, and I tend to not read those fan fictions because I don't tend to like them, but I really like the Shadowhunters episode, and so it was interesting to me that Cursed Child tried that. I really don't think people are going to be writing that much fan fiction about the alternate universes in Cursed Child, but you also have to take into consideration that they're increasingly terrible versions of reality. So of course people probably are going to be thrilled to write fan fiction about that. Also, I think I mentioned this at some point in my review or something, how going into Cursed Child I was actually terrified that something was going to happen with Ron and Hermione and their marriage because of those comments J.K. Rowling had made. I was very paranoid, and I'm glad that I was wrong to be paranoid because they actually are together and wonderful throughout the entire thing, except for in the alternate universes where they're not married or together. The alternate universe where Ron marries Padma doesn't quite make sense to me. Would Cedric losing that one task really have made it so that they never got married and Ron married someone else? Probably not. I don't fully believe that logic, but what I will believe even less, and what's even stranger to me, is in the second alternate universe where neither one is married. They've been working together to try and bring down Voldemort for decades. It would have to be at that point, at least 2 decades, and never admitted their feelings for each other ever. The only people still fighting against Voldemort are Hermione, Ron, and Snape. At least that we see. I'm pretty sure they're the only people. So they were probably spending a lot of time together, especially since Hermione, at least, I know they say can't go outside, and never leaves anymore. So they're probably spending a lot of time together. How have they never admitted their feelings for each other after all that time? And it was also kind of more glossed over. It's not as big of a deal because nothing changes, but Harry and Ginny are still married in the alternate universe where Harry isn't dead, and that was nice. I enjoyed that. Pretty much everyone was still married, and by everyone I mean Harry and Ginny and Draco and Astoria, I think, because they're the only couples that are mentioned. This is completely off topic, except for the fact I was just talking about Harry and Ginny, but I do have to say that I love Harry and Ginny's dynamics as a married couple. Just throwing that out there. I think the biggest thing about the alternate universe is that a lot of people were probably most intrigued, interested, scared of, if I had known it was coming, is the fact that Snape is in one of them, because I don't think anyone ever expected to get more of Snape. I've talked before about how a lot of characters in Cursed Child felt out of character, especially Ron. Ron is especially out of character to me, and I talked about some comments that Hermione made that completely pissed me off. But the 3 characters in Cursed Child who I think are the most out of character, or at least the ones where it frustrated me the most, was Hermione, Ron, and Snape. That I can't even, with Ron and Hermione, I feel I was reading some strange version of them, but with Snape it was like reading about an entirely different character. Scorpius brings up Snape's love for Lily to Snape, and Snape's reaction to it is not how I believe Snape would react, and like he talks about it later, like actually like talks about loving Lily, and just, okay, Snape knew Dumbledore for so many years and still like we never see him talk about it. I'm pretty sure that the memories in the Prince's Tale chapter of Deathly Hallows show us like the only time Snape and Dumbledore really talked about Lily. Highly doubt it came up any other time between them, and Snape never really even says it. Like in that one memory he shows Dumbledore he's still in love with Lily by using his Patronus, and then says like always in response to what Dumbledore says, but that's like all he says. The only time I really think he kind of like outright says it is one when he breaks down and begs Dumbledore, which like he's breaking down in and like desperate, and then when Dumbledore tells him that Harry's going to have to die, he like gets really angry. But like those are extreme situations, more extreme than the situation that Scorpius and Snape are in Cursed Child. And I do get that it's been longer, so maybe Snape could change, but I just don't feel like it's realistic for him to have changed that much and to be so easily talking about it with Scorpius. Like that was he was way too willing to just like talk to Scorpius about his feelings, and that was weird. Like as heartwarming as having a scene where Snape can tell Scorpius that he's proud Albus has his name, everything, like it was very out of character, and like I just kind of wish it wasn't there because it's just so not Snape, and now we have that, and like it's kind of canon. I'm sure there are people who aren't considering it canon. I don't even know if I'm considering it canon at this point, but like it's just so not Snape, and I feel like weird about it being like this extension of what we know about Snape when it feels so wrong. I also don't quite understand why Hermione, Ron, and Snape were the only people left still fighting against Voldemort. Like, I get a lot of people having died, even if there were only a handful of them, but the three of them being the only ones left seemed strange to me. I can't remember the exact wording around that scene, so there might have been kind of they might have implied that there were more, we just weren't seeing them, but I don't remember that happening. I do know that they said there were very few of them left. It's kind of nice it was interesting to see Draco in the alternate universe where he has like Harry's job basically in the alternate universe, and see that he had like a conscience. Like, he's not the greatest person because he is still working for Voldemort and hasn't like tried to fix anything, but seeing like that sort of like conflict in him still marrying Astoria when like his parents disapproved because she liked muggles too much, which raises a lot of interesting questions about how, like, I have a lot of questions about like Draco and Astoria's dynamics in the normal Cursed Child universe because I think it's interesting, but I feel like that alternate universe, they're married, like when Draco has this position under Voldemort basically, would be even more interesting. Like I really want to know what their marriage was like. Interesting to see how Draco was presented in that alternate universe where he's still, like he is in the Harry Potter books, like when he's a Death Eater, like willing to go along with these things in order for like status basically and like protection too, I think, even though it makes him uncomfortable doing it, like he's still doing it, which I think is very true to the Draco of most of the Harry Potter series. Obviously in Cursed Child he's changed a bit as an adult, like in the normal universe, and then he didn't have that character growth in the alternate universe. I did find that interesting. So yeah, overall I thought the alternate universes were interesting to read about, if not quite believable all of the time. That's the thing with Cursed Child though, like most of it is not believable or even not good necessarily, but it was definitely interesting to read. That's basically how I feel about the alternate universes too. I'd be interested in hearing what you thought about that aspect of Cursed Child, because I think it's the one that like kind of no one expected it to go that way. So I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say, and I will see you guys later. Bye.